Happy holidays. It's RiverSoft Art, and I'm happy to talk to you today about a really fun product, a collaboration between Silas3D and myself, Dotify, and it's for Daz Studio. Have you ever wanted to make a toonified, pop style, but non-photorealistic art, but use the Iray renderer? Then Dotify's for you. So Dotify uses the Iray decal system to allow you to Dotify anything. Props, hair, clothes, you name it. And, Dotify comes with a bunch of different patterns, from the sparse or dense dots to cross-hatching to hatching. And it allows you to change the scaling of the object, so you can have lots of little dots, for example, or just a few big dots. And you can control its texture mapping so that it uses the object, or it uses the UVW and follows the object's UVs, etc. For an example, on the left here is an Iray renderer, and then in the center we've applied Dotify to the shorts and to the hair. And this product also works very well with Dotify for Genesis 8 female, and that's the image on the right. As I mentioned, it can be used with any type of prop. Let's go to see Dotify in action. I have my scene here. It's a nice little holiday themed scene. And to use Dotify, what you do is you select what you want to Dotify. So if I wanted, well, let's change the camera so we zoom in. And we could select the dress, for example. So you would find Dotify and you would start it. Now, if you're already in Iray, showing that in the preview, Dotify will warn you. We found some crashes that can occur in Daz Studio, and some versions of Daz Studio, if some of the Dotify operations are applied while Iray's in use. This, I expect, will be fixed at some point, but for now, it will. The script can easily just toggle it off for half a second while it applies these things and avoid that crash. Okay, here we go. So the Dotify dialog is up. It automatically sets up the Iray decal and what we're calling a blocker, a decal blocker, to do the things that Dotify does. So when you start it, you have your patterns here, and you can choose from your patterns. You can change them. You have scaling and rotation. So as I mentioned, scaling makes it so you can get them a lot tighter or, a lot farther apart. You can rotate them, and that, changes how they go. You can change their texture coordinate system, and UVW, if you notice, it kind of follows the UVs of the clothing, so it looks more like, it's a pattern on the clothing. And you also have the choice of world or object coordinate system. You can change the pattern color. So we can bring this up and change this to yellow. And then you can also change the surface color. I'll change this to red. And one of the things I should mention for the background, or, the item surfaces, you have the option of removing its texture, so it's a solid looking, or you could keep them in. And as you can see, there's a very subtle, it keeps in the texture of the item. Going back to here, you also are able to choose which surfaces are affected by Dotify. So we can say, all right, I don't want the bows or the fur trim or the lacing. And as you can see, the laces and the bows and the trim are not affected by Dotify. I should mention that this part here is slightly different than what you will see on the release version of Dotify. This will be, an update coming after release, where we show the base color of all the surfaces. And in this case, all the base color, since there were textures for the color, they're all white. There was nothing there. But for other things, and I'll show you that later, you can select one, and then you can set the pattern color or the surface color based upon the texture. Final other things, you can reset your options. You can do sync, which is really nice. If you've used Iray decals before, you realize that they're very dependent upon where the camera is looking. And if you move the camera around and it's basically change the angle, this will sync it so it looks back at you. So this looks pretty good. Let's accept this. All right. And as you can see, we have the two Dotify and Dotify decal. Now, if you wanted to change these things later, select the item again and click Dotify, and it automatically pulls out all the information. And you can then change it without any difficulty. But I like this one, so we will keep this. Let's go to the boots and start Dotify, and it warns us. All right, and for this one, I'm going to change it, and let's put nice holiday. Let's go for a holiday green. And let's change. Do we want dots? What do you think I should do? We will use thin hatching. How about that? We're going to use the UVW as well. Set its rotation to 0, but put a lot more of them. So we'll change the scaling. All right. Well, and I wanted to apply to all of the surfaces, but we are going to put this back on. Yeah, you notice how it changed the colors. So maybe that's a little too bright. Let's change that to, let's try this. I will go with that. All right. Accept that. Now we're going to do the hat. Start that up. So for the hat, I really only want to affect the band. We can select none. Turn on the outer band, and we're going to use its color as the surface color. And change the color. And this time I want some nice dots. And we'll turn down the scale a lot. Maybe even more. Let's go down to 2. And there we go. Okay, I like that. That looks very fun and festive. Let's accept that. Now we'll do a little bit different with the hair. And with the hair, we're going to use a nice yellow color. Maybe this one. We are going, instead of dots, let's do the hatching. Turn that up. And let's follow the UVW. And let's make it, instead of a red, let's go with more of a brown. This one will work, I guess. Yep. Okay. All right, I think our figure's good. Let's zoom out, and we can easily select one of the ends. And as I said, it can affect props as well. So I think I want to use actually the surface color that was there. And let's change this to a nice, white. That's white, and then let's go with dense dots, but not that big of a scale. Let's go way down. Let's go down to 0.5. There you go. That looks really good. I like that. Select the E. And we'll do the same thing, use it for the surface color. And that one looks good too. And maybe just to be a little bit different, we will go to 0.2. Nice big dots. And finally we get to this L. All right, and again, we will use its surface color. And we will change its to like 0.7. And there we go. Nice little holiday stylized scene. I'm RiverSoft Art. This is Dotify by Silas3D and myself. And happy holidays.